Want to do a lot of your questions. We have a ton of questions tonight. I do want to acknowledge our sponsor, Alan Browning. We thank Browning Law for sponsoring Courtroom Insider this go round, and we appreciate their support of East Idaho news and local news in general. Here are some shout outs. We have, let's see, Lynn Phillips from Hamburg, Germany. You've watched us for 5 years. Incredible. Thank you, Lynn. 5 years. Wow. Sorans living in Romania. You've been watching since I followed Chad and Lori to Hawaii. Well, thank you. I've never been to Romania. Would be great to go. Anya, Tasha, Reina Rodriguez, Beverly Parker, Carolyn Dundee from Scotland, Michelle Dunn, Ginny Reisinger, Natalie Cassidy, Kelly Beasley, and Brandon Kuhn ask you to wish Colby a happy birthday. Yes, Colby, happy birthday today. All the cool people were born in April. Colby, my birthday's next week. That sounded really braggadocious. Sorry. I mean to be humble, but happy birthday to you, Colby. Hope you have a great day. We have people watching in Paris, Akron, Ohio. I was born in Canton, Ohio. Poland, Sweden, Ireland, American Fork, Utah, Cincinnati, Ohio, Georgia, Rexburg, Idaho, Idaho Falls, Idaho. So many wonderful places that are watching from all over the world. So I can't thank you enough for watching and supporting us. And let's go to your questions right now. We have a lot of questions. Does the jury know anything about the kids being dead? From Kelly. Technically, no, they don't. They have not been told. Now, JJ and Tylee's names were included on the questionnaire. I don't know specifically what the question said, though. We haven't seen that. But their names were included on the questionnaire. Probably if you heard the names JJ Ballo, Tylee Ryan on the news, could be something like that. Did police take photos of Alex's head wound? Kokomo says. If they did, we haven't seen him. That's a great question. There's still plenty more officers who will testify. I would think that they would have, and that we will see those down the line, because if it was self-defense, you'd want to get a close-up of the wound. So we'll see. Shanette says, I thought I heard something about Tylee going back in the house to get Lori's purse right after the shooting. Am I wrong? That does sound familiar. I don't think we have heard that in this trial. We do know that Lori sent, after all the alleged commotion, she sent Tylee out to be with JJ, who was in the car, to keep him calm. And then Lori eventually went out, and JJ was trying to get out of the car, but Tylee was keeping him in there. And then they all got on the car and left because they were scared. And that's when they went to the Burger King. And then Lori said the school wasn't open yet, so they went to Walgreens to get flip-flops so that Tylee and Lori could stand on the hot Arizona asphalt. And it was July, and it was hot that day. A few people told me that it was extremely hot that day. They remember that. Kelly Peterson, does the public get to hear what the jurors' questions are? I believe so. We did today, but yesterday there was a question, or was it this morning? One of the days there was a question. We never heard it. So it might be one of those things that the judge and the prosecution and the defense discuss, and then they decide, okay, we can follow up with this question. Who's going to ask it? Or maybe this question isn't relevant. So I'm still learning how that system works. Someone else asked, why is the court day so short? Well, I found some news out today. The judges, not only, this is not Judge Boreski's only case. He's got a ton of other cases. So every morning between 8:30 and 10:30, he's handling business with his other cases. He's holding hearings in his own courtroom. So remember how Lori's hearings were always like at 8:30 in that other courtroom, and they were short? That's what he's doing. Then he comes over to the South Tower and presides over this trial from 10:30 to 4:30. The county sets the court calendar and says, we're going to hold 2 trials every day. One that will go 10:30 to noon, and one that will go 1:30 to 4:30. And in a lot of cases, those trials are done in those times. There's the morning trial and the afternoon trial. This is obviously a longer case and much more detailed. So they're blocking out the entire days, 10:30, and then start time at 1:30. And that's why. And then the court ends at 4:30 so that the judge can go finish his business. So they take that trial model and took this one and fit it into there. Personally, I've only been here 2 days. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's with our ADD world, it's good to get up after an hour and a half, have a snack, have lunch, go back, have a break at 3 o'clock. I know many of you are like, they're taking so many breaks. This is taking forever, but it does get tiresome in there, and especially for the jurors. Pink Porcupine. Pink Porcupine. What is this? The evidence will show. It can't. No one is alive to corroborate. She killed them all. How was that allowed? You mean her opening statement? Well, I mean, the evidence will show she was a hairdresser. That's true. She was a hairdresser. There's not much. It's her defense. There's not much say that the judge can say no. Now, you did see that Trina K did object at one point during her opening statement, and the judge sustained it. So it's not like it's just a free for all. But you can, if you're presenting your defense and laying out what your case is going to be to the jurors, you have a little bit more freedom versus when you're questioning the witnesses. How can the state, Sandy, how can the state show that the first call was self-defense, yet years later it was a homicide? I don't know. You mean, did they originally rule it self-defense? From what I understand, that was how the report came in, but the police never officially closed the case and deemed it self-defense. The case was still open when Alex died and then when it changed. So they were investigating it as self-defense, but as far as I know, they never officially ruled it as self-defense and then had to reopen the case and rule it as homicide. Did Alex say he retrieved his gun from the bedroom after getting hit in the head? If so, I wish the prosecution would explain that a little bit better. I believe he did. Yeah, he did say that that he was hit with the bat first, and that's why he had to go get the gun. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. This all blends together. It could be that he was just threatened. Yeah, because I don't think he got the gun and then was hit in the head and then shot him. I think he was hit first. If I'm wrong, please let me know. And I'll have to go back and listen to that. Have Tylee's remains been released to the family yet? Misty asks. Yes, Colby received the remains as with JJ and Tylee. He was the closest connection, blood relative to them. I believe he did share some of JJ's remains with Kay and Larry, and maybe some others got them too. But yeah, the remains have been released. Where can we send our pictures of us and our t-shirts? Oh, great question. Send them to me. You can send them to me on my Facebook page, Nate Eaton Reporter, or neaton@eastidahonews.com. Let me see. You can also find me here on Instagram, n.eaton, or tweet me, X me. That sounds dirty. Send me a tweet or send me an X. With the two conspiracy trials severed, could the sentences be concurrent or would one have to follow the other? That's a good question. We were talking about that today. We don't know how the judge is going to handle sentencing. Normally, sentencing can take 30 to 60 days. There's a pre-sentence report done. Will the judge, at the end of this trial, assuming she's found guilty, say, I'm going to wait to sentence you once we have the other trial, and if they're both guilties, I'll do one sentencing altogether? Or, because they are separate cases, will he sentence her on this one first, 25 years to life, and then sentence her later on the second one? I don't know. I could see either way. Knowing this judge, he might want to be efficient and just do it all at once, but we will see when that happens, assuming she's found guilty. When she's convicted, can she appeal, claiming she didn't have time to prepare, even though she insisted on a speedy trial? That's from Sarah Barrow. I think she might try to do that, but I don't think it's going to fly. The judge has repeatedly said, if you continue, you can appeal. Or if you continue, you can have adequate time to prepare for your trial. Your other legal teams have told you they didn't have enough time to go through all the evidence. So I think he can mention that, and I think that will come up, and I don't think that would be a reason for the case to be overturned. Same with her representing herself. I don't think that they're going to be like, well, she said she had to do it. I don't think they're going to go there. Diane on Duncan Street. In the unblurred photo, did you see a bat near Charles? If the bat was near it, was there any blood on it? There was no blood on the bat. And they made a point to say that there were no indentations at the top of the bat, at the fat portion of the bat. Like it hadn't been hit. It was in not perfect condition, but it was still in. It's not like it had hit anything, and there was no blood. And the bat was close to Charles. Have you seen Lori eat or take breaks? No, I have not seen her eat. She comes in with a bottle of water. I imagine, will eat on the break. She does not. Her advisory attorneys have a room, and the prosecution have a room there at the courthouse. She doesn't go out with them. She goes out the other room, and they probably bring her a lunch from the jail. If your daughter in the future asked if she could interview Lori, would you let her? And is your wife going to be joining you for a few days in Arizona for the trial? Keep up the great work, Caroline. Oh, man, if Emmy wanted to interview Lori. I don't know. Well, let me ask you guys, would you let your 11-year-old, soon to be 12-year-old, interview a convicted murderer? I, knowing that the murderer probably won't tell the truth, I don't know. That's a great question. Um, I might. I might. Just to see how Lori interacts with the kid. It's amazing what people will say to my daughter when for those of you wondering why my daughter brought into this, she does a weekly segment called 7 Questions with Emmy. She's been doing it almost 5 years now. She's interviewed over 300 people, celebrities, athletes, whatever. She's interviewed everybody from David Copperfield, Drew Barrymore, Michael Bublé to our neighbors who are just as cool and cooler than those people. But she has not interviewed a criminal. So that's a good question. I think I would. Is my wife going to be joining me in Arizona? We've talked about it. We don't have any set plans for her to come down. It's really hard during the trial week because I'm so focused on work, and then I come home and do this, and then I go to bed. So maybe at the end of the trial, they might come down. They're in school, though. They're busy. The kids are busy. A lot of stuff going on. So, yeah. Did Lori look at you? Funny you ask. She did today. After the afternoon recess, I walked in. I was standing. She turned around and smiled at me. So she did look at me. Funny that you asked that today. Will the video of Tyler at the police station help Lori? Because if I recall correctly, she says no. Okay, apparently you're screaming no. Don't let my daughter interview Lori. Okay, thank you. I will think about your answer. There would have to be a lot of prep, and I'd have to be in the room. I'll say that. Okay. I don't know if the video of Tyler will help her. I recall that she said Charles came after her. Yeah, we put that video up on our YouTube channel. I don't know. I don't know if it would help her. Can you explain the milkshake comment? Olivia, yes, that happened yesterday. One of the witnesses really threw everybody, a lot of people were confused. He was basically saying, I don't remember the question, but he was basically saying, if I had to bet a milkshake on it, I'd say this. That's what it meant. It was a funny term of, yeah, if it's a chocolate milkshake, I don't remember the exact term, but it took me a minute to process that he was saying, oh yeah, you know, if I had to bet on it, if I had to bet $100 or a milkshake on it, it would be this. Have they figured out who the alternate jurors are? No, and they won't till the end. The judge will, it'll be like a raffle, like a lottery system. Now there'll be 2, and they'll randomly pull numbers, and that'll be that. Is there a reason we've not heard from Charles's other children? Jody asks. Well, they haven't been called as witnesses. They weren't there that day. I don't know if they want to be there. So far, they have not showed up at the courthouse, and they've really heard his 2 eldest sons have really tried to remain in the background, respect them for that. I've spoken with them, met them before, but they are not here thus far. Maybe they'll show up at the end for the verdict or for sentencing. They could give a sentencing statement. Do we know if at least part of Tammy's life insurance money will not go to pay for some of Lori's fines? Oh, I don't think any of it will go to Lori's fines. I think that money's gone. I think that they paid for attorneys. Lori had an attorney in the beginning. Chad had an attorney that he was paying. John Pryor, he sold the house. I think all that money is gone, and it's not going to go to Lori's fines. They spent that money quickly. They went to Hawaii, where it's quite expensive. Why do the jurors have phones? This is beyond my understanding, from Tom. Great question. I don't know. I don't know. Can we talk about the kid's death without, can the state talk about the kid's death without saying murder? Yes, I think they could. I just don't know how they would do it. But I'm sure they could bring it in somehow. Brandon, how come the female juror was dismissed today? No idea. We don't know. Something must have happened, and the judge discussed it off camera and in a sidebar, so we don't know the explanations. Lisa, I know you mentioned yesterday the trial was going quickly, but is this standard courtroom procedure? How is it they can't figure out all these issues before starting the trial? Okay, quickly meaning they've gone through, we know there's 21 witnesses. So far, we're up to 4 or 5 witnesses. So that's a quarter of the prosecution's witnesses already done. In Idaho, there were some witnesses. I think Ray Hermosillo was on the stand an entire day. Other trials move fast. You have witnesses that are on there for 4 or 5 minutes. Relatively speaking, when I said quickly, I meant it's moving at a rapid pace. There are holdups. You mentioned the issues. Why haven't they worked those issues out? Well, one of the main reasons is Lori Vallow is her own attorney. and that she did not want this trial continued. And so they're kind of doing it on the fly. For instance, the issue today with the expert witness, that was a issue that likely could have been discussed beforehand, but before the trial, but it didn't happen. Pamela, how do we know Charles took JJ to the car and left him in the running car to go in and retrieve his phone from Lori? Is there video to show this? How did she take the phone from him? I believe they killed him when he entered the home and no fight occurred. A lot of people might be with you, Pamela. We don't know. We know it's because the only person living now to talk about it is Lori Vallow. We do know that Alex Cox and Tylee did give interviews to the police, and they will likely call on those interviews to see what they said. Could they have all come together and made up a story? They could have. Could Charles have been shot the second he walked in the house? Perhaps. Absolutely. And then they talked about the bat and put the bat on the ground. And I don't know if the bat's been dusted for fingerprints. I know one of you asked that. So you're right. We don't know. And as far as we know, there's no video. There was no doorbell camera video from the home or across the street. I should say that now. Maybe they will. Maybe they will have video that they'll play at the trial. None has been released as far as we know. Why do you think Lori took Charles's rental car instead of her car to take Tylee and JJ to Burger King and JJ to school with Charles's phone, keys, and wallet? I don't think if Charles was alive when she left, Charles would have given her the keys. Just wondering. Good question. I don't know. I'm sure she wanted his phone. Thank goodness she took his phone. That's what pinged. That's what gave us the timeline of everything. But maybe Charles kept the keys in the car and she just went out and took the car and it was there. I don't know. I don't know the details to that. Why didn't they play the audio from police audio cameras of Alex yesterday that were played yesterday in court? The question for that was the body cameras. There was some hearsay on there. There was the officer talking to other people. And on one of them, he was describing what he was seeing throughout the home that he was able to testify to. Tess, can you bring Peggy and Jordan on Courtroom Insider? I think so, Tess. Probably. Peggy has been on before. Peggy goes through all of your comments. She's watching. Everybody say hi to Peggy. She does a great job every night. We're trying to figure out the technology for me to Zoom her in to ask the questions maybe, but we'd have to figure that out with me being here, her being there. And I know we could probably do it, but we just need to figure it out. Jordan is just down the hall from me in the hotel. He was in here. We started 2 minutes late because there was an issue I needed to fix. Apparently there was a humming in my mic yesterday. So Jordan came to the rescue and it turns out it was likely the AC unit in my room. So it's really hot in here right now, but I'm doing it for you. So you don't have to hear the humming. Just kidding. It's not too hot. After the trial, will you try to interview Lori or the attorneys? Absolutely. I'd love to talk to all of them. I don't think they'll talk right after this trial, but maybe after Brandon's. Do we know if Charles really was a right-handed batter? I believe so. And we definitely know he was a batter, and we definitely know that he was an athlete. So I think we got all the questions in tonight. I know you have a lot more, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Again, here's where you can follow me. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and the YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't. We would really appreciate that. And I just appreciate you all watching. I hope that I'm not too long-winded at the end of these days. I wonder about putting too much in, putting enough in. Hopefully this gives you a taste of what happened. Court will be back in tomorrow. Starts at 10:30, goes till 4:30 with the breaks. And we'll be back here tomorrow night with Courtroom Insider live from Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.